All right, we're going to do the OnlyFans running backs today. I was trying to wait as long as I possibly could. So Dalvin Cook still hasn't signed as I'm recording this. I just want to get it done and over with because there's still a lot more fantasy content that I want to do yet. But we finished all the OnlyFans stuff except the running backs. Of course, if you've been following along, what this series represents is we are looking for the happy endings in fantasy. Who deserves more subscriptions? Who deserves more love? Which one of these players will lead you to that fantasy happy ending? That's what we're going with here today. And of course, all these guys are ranked low on the list. Guys that you're not going to have to spend an arm and a leg to go get. So that's the whole point of the series. We're finishing things off with the running backs. So let's get right into it. Let me start here with Elijah Mitchell because I actually think he's being really undervalued. So if we go to the fantasy rankings here, he's basically free. So he's running back 41. I just think that's a little absurd. I don't know. Mostly because he plays for Kyle Shanahan. This is too low to me, and I'm going to tell you why. First and foremost, if we just go to McCaffrey, he's been hurt before. Last year he was healthy. The year before he wasn't. The year before that he wasn't. What if he misses 3 games? What if he misses 4 games? Are we saying that's impossible? And even if we go to the game logs last year, so McCaffrey joined in the 7th game of the year, week 7. It's not like his carry numbers were out of control either. Like we're talking about, let's just skip that one because that's his first week with the team. 18, 14, 7, 11, 17, 14. They're not killing him with rushing attempts. Now they're giving him the ball out of the backfield in terms of the passing game. But if we go to Mitchell, he got the ball a decent amount. He had the 18 carry game, 9, 7. He had some targets out of the backfield. I'm just saying, as McCaffrey's backup, I think he has some value. And it all kind of depends on how many carries Deebo Samuel gets. So if they decide that Deebo Samuel is their backup running back, Mitchell probably doesn't have much value. But if McCaffrey gets hurt, he's probably a top 15 back. So another name that I should just probably talk about here quickly is Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason last year was good. 6 yards a carry, 43 attempts. Maybe Jordan Mason is the backup. I'm just saying he got some work. All I know is if McCaffrey goes down, this is the top 15 play, whoever the backup is. So something to keep in mind. A.J. Dillon, I love A.J. Dillon this year. I think if we go back to what I said before the draft, I thought A.J. Dillon was the Brandon Jacobs of the draft class. So if we go to Brandon Jacobs, it took him some time to get going too. He was a middle round pick, big body, 264, 6'4". He's not as tall, but he's a big back. So if we just go to Jacobs, it took him some time to really get going. His first 2 years, he gave you nothing. Then he kind of hit his stride. I think that's kind of what's going to happen here with A.J. Dillon. I think this is the year he pops. And if we just go to Aaron Jones really quickly, he's still a very good player. No question about it. Still a very good player. But last year, he had 2 touchdowns. And he's starting to get into that dangerous category where 29, 30, 31, 32, they start falling off a cliff here in a little bit. Now they've managed his carries very well. And that's probably why he's still on top of his game. But I still think this is going to be a committee. And these touchdown numbers have been climbing here for A.J. Dillon. And 43 targets out of the backfield is pretty good. So it's not like Aaron Jones is the only guy getting receiving targets. I don't know how big of a gap there is between Dillon and Jones. I don't. I think there are reasons why Aaron Jones should be ranked higher. I think A.J. Dillon pops this year. He's in a contract year, so he hits the open market next year. He's going to want his carries. I think these touchdown numbers go up. I think with Jordan Love, they rely on the ground game more. The defense is pretty good. I'm picking the Packers to win the NFC North. I know some people aren't. I am picking the Packers to win the NFC North. If this team is a division-winning team, it's probably because they're running the ball really well and playing good defense. So I like my running backs to score touchdowns. That's what I believe in. When I'm drafting running backs, they got to do 2 things: catch or score touchdowns, preferably both, which is what Dillon does. So I think this is the year he pops. I wanted him in fantasy bad. I did get him on my team. I'm not quite sure how long I want to sign him for, but I think Brandon Jacobs is the type of guy you're looking at here. I like his odds. Maybe you don't know when to start him. It's still going to be committee. I get all that. But the idea that he's ranked at 34, I think he's got a lot more upside. And Aaron Jones, I mean, he's been hurt before. 12 games, 14, 15. If he misses the weeks that he's not in there, Dylan is going to be a really top option. So, and if you go to Dylan, this was basically because he was a rookie, got in there late, but been healthy the last 2 years. And he's a big back. He's tough to tackle. So, and he doesn't fumble. If you go to Aaron Jones fumbles a lot. For a team that wants to run the ball, play defense, protect the lead, I think he's going to have a big season. I think this number goes over 200 for the first time in his career, and I think those receiving numbers stay about the same. So, yeah, I like A.J. Dillon this year. All right, next. James Cook. I've written about 3 articles. I'll link them in the article version of this when you go back and read it. We just go to James Cook. Didn't have a ton of opportunities, but in the opportunities that he got, 5.7 yards per carry is pretty damn good. And I think the most important thing is the fact that Devin Singletary is gone. And I understand Damian Harris is coming in. Maybe that steals some of Cook's touches. All the camp reports, and I'll link it in the article version. All of the camp reports indicate that James Cook has been their best running back by a mile. Actually, the camp reports indicate that he's been their best offensive player by a mile. So if we're talking 177 plus all the receiving work that he got, that's another 38. That's 200 some touches up for grabs here. I think Cook's going to get at least most of them. 5.7 yards per carry. He's a former second round pick. He did some 8.6 yards per catch is pretty good. I think he could be a real weapon in the passing game if he takes over this backfield. And the most important thing is he plays for the Buffalo Bills. That's an offense that's going to score points. So maybe he gets vultured at the goal line. You hope that doesn't happen. But in terms of offenses that you want to be a part of, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, those are your top, right? So Philadelphia. Anyway, this is a top 5 offense you want to be a part of. You want running backs on good teams. I can't stress that enough. The whole point of fantasy, it's stat projection. That's all it is. Theoretically speaking, you want guys on teams that score a lot of points. You don't want guys on teams that don't score a lot of points. This is an offense you're going to want to be a part of. And when they have the lead, hopefully they run the ball more. And this is something they've stressed in the offseason. They don't want Josh Allen taking more unnecessary hits. I think Cook has a big year. I think this is a breakout year for Cook. He's explosive. He can do both run and catch. So I really like James Cook this year. And you don't have to spend that much for him. I actually think he's gone up here recently. But RB30, I think he could be a top 10 back. I think he could be a top 10 back. So based on the health and injury question marks of J.K. Dobbins, I think he could be up here. I also have Dalvin Cook on the list. Let's just go through that really quickly. I've talked about it enough in the past. He still averaged 4.4 yards per carry last year. He's got juice left in the tank. He's one of the best screen running backs in the league. You know he's going to do damage through the air as well, which helps. If he signs with Miami, I like him more than if he signs with the Jets, primarily because I think Tua is going to dump the ball off to him a lot in the passing game. I don't think Rodgers will. I think Rodgers likes his targets. Garrett Wilson's going to get the ball a lot, just like Devontae Adams got the ball a lot. I like him more in Miami. And is he better than Breece Hall at this point of his career? I don't know. I think if he goes to the Jets, you have to think that Breece Hall's getting a lot of touches there. You have to. What's his competition, Miami? They have good backs. Don't get me wrong. Mostert, Wilson, Chain, but none of them are Breece Hall. And they still have Michael Carter. I like Bam Knight. They drafted Abanaconda. The Jets have as many running backs as the Dolphins do, and their secondary option with Breece Hall is much better than anybody that the Dolphins have. So I prefer him to go to Miami. Plus, I think Miami will be better. I think Miami will score more points. Do you trust McDaniel or Hackett to run your offense? I believe in Tua, but we'll see where he signs. And right now, he's ranked 33. I'm sure that will go up. I'm sure he will not be behind Rashad Penny, but who knows there? All I know is if he signs with Miami, I really like him. If he signs with the Jets, I kind of like him. We'll go with that. Let's talk Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson's damn good. And I'm not sure what you're doing putting him at 31. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This is another team that wants to play defense and wants to run the ball. Last year, he had 205 carries and he got shot. Let me repeat that. He got 205 carries and was shot with a gun in the same season. I don't think you saw the best version of Brian Robinson. It's amazing he was even out there, played in 12 games. Okay. Let's just compare that to Antonio Gibson, who all those idiots continue to tell me how great he is, even though he's not. Compare that to Gibson. Brian Robinson was shot and out carried him. 3.7. Their offensive line is bad, and I'm not going to deny that part of it. But at this point, you're hoping that Gibson gives you receiving stuff, and there's no guarantee of that, really. I think he's kind of transitioning into a special teams receiver, secondary running back kind of role. I think Robinson's your guy. He can catch. It's not like he can't. I think that number probably goes up. And again, the man got fucking shot. If I'm getting a starting running back at 31, I'll take him. And I don't love running backs on bad teams, but this is one where I'm not sure Washington's going to be terrible. Their offensive line stinks. That's a problem. But their defense is good. And it's Ron Rivera. It's not going to be this drop back and throw it 80 times because, I don't know, you're going to tell Sam how to throw it 80 times? I think they're going to run the ball a lot. So, yeah, Brian Robinson. 3 more. Javonte Williams. This one is more of like a respect card kind of thing. I've seen a lot of shit where people think P. Ryan's better than him. I just think that's crazy. Now, there's been some reports in recent days that I would be fighting Sean Payton if this is what he wanted to do, but apparently he's going to play in the preseason, which means he's healthy to me, right? If you're going to play him in the preseason, I would assume he's healthy. Let's just take last year out of it because he got hurt and it sucks. But go to his rookie year, 4.4 yards per carry, 203 carries, 903 yards, 4 touchdowns. He got a lot of work in the passing game. This guy was a top 10 running back. He was basically ascending into being a top 10 running back. He's a broken tackle machine. I don't know, man. I think Samaje Perine stinks. Anybody that tells you fucking Perine's going to take over this backfield, I just don't agree with him. 4.1, that was with a really good Bengals team. 175 carries his rookie year where he averaged 3.4. That's the real indicator, right? Since that fucking time, he's never had 100 carries in a year. You're telling me there's like a small gap here? Because I don't buy it. I think there needs to be an enormous gap there. And if he's playing in the preseason, I assume he's healthy. This guy was ascending to be a top 10 back. Rachaad White. When it comes to Rachaad White, again, my old rule, it's the number one rule in fantasy. I don't want running backs on bad teams. Tampa probably will be a bad team. However, having receiving running backs on bad teams isn't really a terrible thing. Because if they're trailing a lot, he's going to be catching the ball a lot. And he had 50 receptions as a rookie. That was while splitting time with Leonard Fournette. Tell me he can't catch 50 balls again in a starting job? Because this is Rachaad White's backfield. So I think he can do that again. I think this carry number will go way up. I think Tampa will probably be a bad team. I understand that. If you want to tell me 26 is a fair ranking, I'm not going to disagree. But I think he's got way more upside in the fact that, listen, if he's catching 50 balls, I think those receiving numbers will go up. This is his backfield. No more Fournette. Let's just go to Fournette last year. So Fournette had 3 touchdowns. Why can't he have 6? And then 2 more in the air? If he does that, quality starter in fantasy. So last one, DeAndre Swift. This is basically my put the nail in the coffin kind of thing. I just think he's fucking good. Detroit fucked up here big time. I think DeAndre Swift is better than Jahmyr Gibbs. Was in college. This is the thing I don't really understand with the Lions. You're telling me Swift is 28, Gibbs is 17. There's just nothing to indicate that Gibbs was a better college player than Swift. Just not. This is a guy that was recruited by Georgia Tech. This is a guy that was recruited by Georgia. So, and I know he was good at Alabama last year. I'm not denying that. I think he has some Kamara type skills, but I'd much rather be in the Eagles offense than the Lions. And his competition, David Montgomery, I would say is better than Rashad Penny, mostly because Rashad Penny isn't ever healthy. So you have to factor that in. Last year, again, 5.5 yards per carry. That number's going up. He's the starter in Philadelphia. Every camp report you read, it's Swift. Wow, Swift. Wow, Swift. Wow. That number's going up. And that was in 14 games. So if we go to the receiving stuff, all the reports are saying he's their best receiving running back. They're working that shit in more to their offense. I'm sorry, but I think Swift is a top 10 running back, and I don't think it's even a question. I do. I think Swift is a top 10 running back, and I don't think it's even a question. We go to last year, I think he can get you 500 in the air and then 800 on the ground, and then probably so he had eight touchdowns last year. 3, 5. I think he can get you 12 touchdowns in this offense. Hurts running the ball. He's a threat. This Eagles team in the NFC. I think he's a top 10 running back this year. I don't think you've seen the best of Swift. I think you've seen flashes, but you haven't seen the guy yet, and that's coming. So that's the OnlyFans list for running backs. Let me know what you think. I love Swift this year. I love Swift this year. He's like my guy this year. If you're selling Swift stock, I'll take it. I'll take all of it. I think he's going to be nasty in that Eagles offense. This is a guy that's from the state of Pennsylvania. He's excited to return home. The chip off the shoulder has to be off the charts here. Former 5-star guy at Georgia. Lions didn't want anything to do with him. Gave him away for free. That's a guy that's hungry. That's a guy that, wow, really? That happened to me? DeAndre Swift, that happened to me? Okay. If you're going to give him to me for that price, I will take him in every league. So that's your list. Comment, like, share, subscribe, do all that. Let me know what you think. I'm open to comments as always, but those are the running backs I really want this year. Let me know what you think. Outside of that list, you know me, I love Stevenson, but he's ranked too high to be on this list. So I think there's a lot of people in on Stevenson, so he's not on the list. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out, Girl Scout.